But 1 in 7 councils in England has adopted a definition of Islamophobia that government turned down in 2019 over free speech fears. In 2019, the all-party parliamentary group on British Muslims defined Islamophobia as a type of racism that targeted expressions of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness. Well, the government, however, rejected this definition, citing concerns over free speech. An analysis by the Civitas think tank, however, revealed that 52 local authorities in England have passed a motion to adopt the definition, equivalent to 1 in 7 councils. What does all of this really mean? With me now is Emma Webb, who's the UK director of the Common Sense Society. Emma, thank you very much. What does this mean?
Well, Patrick, a few years ago when I was actually working at Civitas, we put out an anthology on this Islamophobia definition because we were pushing back. We just read it out there. It's extremely vague and expansive and subjective. And there were people who were rightly concerned, myself included, that this was going to be a blasphemy definition by the back door. And what we've seen here is that the definition itself has been adopted by the back door because the government rejected it rightly because they listened to the concerns of people from across the political and cultural spectrum. So in that anthology that I mentioned, we had people like the author of this current Civitas report, Hardeep Singh, from the network of Sikh organizations. We had secularists, we had Christians. There were an enormous range of people who were concerned about the free speech implications of this. The government listened to those concerns, and now this has been adopted by 1 in 7 councils across the country, effectively applying this to the general public without this being, put through in any legislation. So this is extremely concerning, and it has huge implications for free speech.
But I just don't quite understand. Do the police now take this on board as well? So if my local council decides that anything that I say that might be critical of an expression of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness now makes me an Islamophobe, do the police knock on my door? I mean, what kind of stuff are we talking about here? Would that include, say, me objecting to planning permission for my local church being turned into a mosque?
Well, presumably this is operative primarily within the council. So if somebody who works for the council is seen to do something that is, I would expect, say something, for example, that is critical of Islam, then they could very easily be accused vexatiously of Islamophobia. I'm not clear exactly on what the implications of this are, because, of course, this isn't a legal definition. This wasn't adopted by the government. This hasn't been passed through Parliament. But what this does is it sends a message that this APPG definition of Islamophobia, which is extremely dangerous for free speech, it sets a tone within those councils, within the local authority and within those local areas. It sends the message that it is unacceptable to criticise Islam because, like I said, the original concern for free speech is that this effectively operates as a blasphemy law by the back door. If you look at the APPG, original APPG report, it included in its considerations of what counts as Islamophobia, criticising Muslims in a way that is deemed as being instrumental to knock the Islamic community. So this absolutely could even encompass those Muslims who, like the Ahmadiyya community, who are not considered by some Muslims as being Muslim, and they have inter-Islamic conflicts between those groups. You could easily see how these accusations could be levelled at other religious groups, Sikhs, at Hindus, or at other Muslims.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I mean, we have anti-racism laws in this country. Right, so we already have laws in place. Why does one particular religion or group of people need to be given special treatment and as some kind of special kind of defensive cloak? And I mean, what would that mean as well? It's a hypothetical question, but, in a situation like we had at Batley Grammar School, where if a local councillor said, I don't think that this group of Muslim men should be outside calling for the teacher there who showed a picture of the Prophet Muhammad to a pupil to be beheaded, and for his family to have to go into police custody and hiding, I don't think that's right. Oh, well, you might be committing blasphemy here, might you?
Well, I would like to see those who've been advocating for this definition and those involved with the APP be asked very straightforwardly whether that teacher holding up a picture of the Prophet Muhammad was being Islamophobic, because I think they would find it very difficult to squirm their way out of admitting that that is what they would understand as being Islamophobic. We've also seen people in the not too distant past being accused of Islamophobia for simply investigating extremism. So this term has been used historically to shut down free discussion of Islam and of extremism. And actually, if you look at the statement that has been put out about this story, they're very clear that they want Islamophobia to be acknowledged as a kind of racism. Criticism of a religion is not racism.
No, indeed. Look, thank you very, very much. There's Emma Webb there, of course, the UK director of the Common Sense Society. I think it's fascinating. I also think it's really one to watch that, because, again, if it's coming in by the back door, this is just a classic, isn't it? The councils, they'll wave it through. Oh, we don't want to be seen as being racist, so we will adopt something that actually could have very far-reaching consequences. And we all wake up in a few years' time when this has been adopted nationally and someone says something that's deemed out of turn, and bingo, you find yourself behind bars.